So, a lot of you guys have been asking me to do a video about how I color skin or skin tones, so I made this and I hope you'll find it useful. So, these are the colors I used. So let's hop right onto it. Oh, and by the way, I'm not exactly an expert. I'm just showing you how I do it in my own style or technique. The video is also a bit sped up because I want it to be brief but also informative. I'll do my best to explain every detail in the video. Okay, so using pencil number 376 or Van Dyke Brown, I color the upper lid below the bangs with full pressure. Using the same color, I color the root of the nose gently in tiny circular motions and gradually build up the color. Once again, using the same color, I also color the lower lid with a bit of pressure from my hand. I add a line for the eye bag. I also added more shadows to her eye using black. Still using the color black, I lined the edges of her face, then I switched to 376 Van Dyke Brown again, and this time I put a lot of pressure on the edges and go lighter as I color further away. You also might notice that the color is grainy. That's because I turned the flash for my camera on while recording this video. Faber Castell Classic color pencils are waxy compared to other color pencils that are creamy, so it's a bit tricky to blend them. They're also shiny when it gets hit by light, so you'll notice some pencil strokes along the video too. In order to minimize this, make sure your pencils are sharp when coloring. Also be careful not to color in scattered directions. Or you can also blend them using white color pencils or whatever color you want to layer it with. Keep your hand as light as possible and only put a lot of pressure when you're coloring shadows in dark areas or when you need to. Now using the black color pencil, I added some shadows on the edges of her face to create more depth. Now I'm switching to color number 392 Indian Red to add the dark blush and the contour. I'm also coloring it softly, so that's why you can see it's a bit grainy, but no worries, the grainy look will eventually be buried by the layers we'll put on later. I hope. Once again, using Van Dyke Brown, I add more shadows. And here I'm using Cinnabar Light 316 because I wanted to give her that drunk blush look, but I color it very gently and it's almost unnoticeable. Then I color her nostrils black. Once again, using Van Dyke Brown 376, I add more shadows on the nose area very lightly in tiny circular motions. I also added some Indian Red 392 at the base and lower tip of her nose to give it a reddish look. Then once again, added more shadows using Van Dyke Brown. Then I layer the colors with Light Flush 330 or 330 with a moderate amount of pressure. As you can see, I start coloring the edges and work my way to the middle. added more shadows on top of that because I thought it looked dry and washed out. This is how I basically color skin tones. I add more colors if I feel like I need to. Now I'm using Indian Red 392. I add more color to make her blush look more vibrant. I also experimented with some Scarlet Light 318 and Cinnabar Light 316 to see how it would make her drunk blush look. Now I'm lining her lips using black. And using Indian Red 392, I color the bottom part of her upper lip and the upper part of her lower lip thinly to form a gradient. Now I'm using Orange Yellow 309 to very lightly color her entire lips. Then I layer everything with light magenta 319 with moderate pressure on the inner parts and softly on the outer parts. I add more colors when necessary. Now I'm using Light Flush 330 to color the rest of her chin, leaving a bit of highlight in the middle. Then I color her philtrum or medial cleft with Van Dyke Brown 376, and using the same color I add more shadows. Now using Scarlet Light 318, I color the blush on the other side and I do it very gently. Then I seal it with Light Flush 330 with moderate pressure. For her nose, I used Van Dyke Brown 376 for the shadows, then layered it with Light Flush 330. Once again, add more colors if necessary. And finally, I add Scarlet Light 318 on the bridge of her nose to complete her drunk blush look. I also planned to give her freckles, but I guess I forgot. So this is the end result. I know this video is still somewhat long despite being sped up, but I want to thank you if you were able to finish watching it. I hope you found this useful somehow. And by the way, I already took down my Patreon page because I don't think I can handle adding it to my schedule anymore since I still have school and work to focus on. For those of you who are also willing to support me, I created a PayPal link for donations. I'll be posting all my tutorials for free on YouTube for everyone to access. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope to see you on my next one, and I hope you have a colorful day.